today, June 10. Let us see Indian Express news articles. First article is related to next president will be elected on July 18. Opposition for contest against NDA. Ruling BJP-led NDA, the opposition are yet to reveal their choice of candidate. That the nominee of NDA, which was around 48% votes in the electoral college, will win the presidential race with the help of some friendly parties like BJD of Odisha and YSRCP of Andhra Pradesh. The election shall be held with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. The value of vote of MP will be 700. Those in preventive detention can vote, and those in jail will have to apply for parole, and if they get parole they can vote. You can see the previous year question, what is the difference between parole and farole. You can know the more facts about parole. Next, the elector can mark as many preferences as the number of candidates, while marking of the first preference is compulsory for the ballot paper to be valid and other preferences are optional. The electors have to mark the ballot only with this particular pen and not with any other pen. Voting by using any other pen shall lead to invalidation of the vote at the time of counting. MPs are elected to cast their votes in Parliament House, and MLAs are expected to vote as the respective capitals. The Secretary of the General of the Rajya Sabha will be returning officer for the election. Next article that we are next moving into is related to we agree on needs to respect religions. Iran finance minister after Delhi talks. For Iranian foreign minister A.H. Amir Abdullahian said two countries agree on the need to respect divine religions, Islamic sanctities, and avoid divisive statements. Iran was among the Islamic countries which condemned the remarks against the Prophet by now suspended expelled BJP spokesperson Nipur Sharma. Pro-India Maldives government stood its ground until opposition put pressure. In 2020, Maldives and UAE joined the hands to foil a move by Pakistan to set up an informal contact group of envoys from Organization of Islamic Cooperation countries on Islamophobia at the UN. Next article that we are moving into is related to Ministry seeks funds for coal-fired power plants, but banks said to say no. RBI banks are likely to decide against funding the working capital requirements of 13 imported coal-fired plants. This comes after RBI in a missive sent in mid-May asked the banks to exercise caution in lending to such a power plants and also asked the bank to furnish details on exposure to these 13 projects listed by Power Ministry. We may not provide funds to these power companies only on the basis of the Power Ministry or order, and any support if provided will only on the basis of merit of a particular case. The regulator and the banks need to look at any borrowing from a long-term perspective to ensure that any fresh exposure taken by the banks does not turn into bad loan. Recent report by BOFA Securities estimates that bank could take a hit of 37,200 crore as they are in the process of liquidating 10 power projects which failed to find any takers under the insolvency process. Next article that we are moving into is related to Malik Deshmukh pleas for permission to vote rejected, both Mumbai High Court. Section 62(5) of the Representation of the People Act. According to the section, no person lodged in a prison can vote. It is well settled that right to vote is not a fundamental right but a statutory right subject to limitations. It is imperative to note that there is a difference between voting for presidential election and Rajya Sabha election. The Presidential Election Act is governed by Presidential and Vice Presidential Act of 1952. There is no provision under the Act to prohibit an under trial to cast a vote in the presidential election. Next article that we are moving into is related to High Court do not delay kids treatment due to lack of long-term clinical trials. Treatment to children suffering from rare disease would not merit being deferred on the ground that long-term clinical trials are not available or adequate evidentiary material does not exist. DMD is a genetic disorder that affects a muscle, leading to muscle wasting that gets worse over time. That, however, should not detract from the rights of the patient to undergo the treatment option which are currently available and are being administered to similar patients across the globe, even if they viewed as experimental therapies. Next article is India's biotech economy grew 8 times in last 8 years, expanding further. BRAC, that is Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council for Biotech Startup India, InSpace for the space sector, IDEX for defense sector, India Semiconductor Mission, and Smart India Hackathon for encouraging innovation by youth. This can be asked like match the following like that. Study for facts for prelims. Next article that we are moving into is related to turnaround story. India universities improve global ranking but challenges remain. In the recent announcement, QS World Ranking 2023, Indian higher educational institutions have done their best to date. QS ranking evaluates universities' performance by measuring the sentiments of academic stakeholders over six performance indicators: academic reputation, employer reputation, faculty-student ratio, citation for faculty, international faculty ratio, international student ratio. 19th edition of ranking draws a strong picture of India. Nine institutions of eminence are ranked in the top 1000. Indian universities have established a significant global standing in QS World Ranking 2023, with highlight being improved faculty-student ratio, citation per faculty, international student admission, and male-female student enrollment ratio. This first one is the state expenditure on education as percentage of GDP. Then comes the issues of mobility of international faculty and students. Lastly, India does not have education penetration to last mile, but that is something which the government aims to rectify through its target of achieving 50% gross enrollment ratio by the year of 2035 against 26.3% in 2018 as envisaged in the new education policy NEP. Calling cancer's bluff. A new drug that unshackles the body's immune system promises cure for rectal cancer, sans surgery or chemotherapy, but more studies are in order. Duraisamy belongs to a group of monoclonal antibody called checkpoint inhibitor, which blocks the protein that cancer cells produce to prevent the body's immune system from attacking them. It is a game of blocking the blocker. The checkpoint inhibitor are named according to the type of protein they block: CTLA4 inhibitor, PD1 inhibitor, PDL1 inhibitor, like that. Among the key components of the human immune systems are T cells. On their surface lie checkpoint protein, some of which switch on the immune response to fight infections and cancer, while others switch off the immune response when it threatens to become hyperactive. The recent report provided results from phase 2 clinical trial involving patients whose cancer was confirmed to the rectum with dostarlimab therapy proposed as an early stage intervention. Small numbers can be misleading while establishing this statistical significance. Next article is related to battle for key city can decide control of eastern Ukraine, says Zelensky. With smoke rising from the Severodonetsk, the rattle of gunfire echoing from the vicious street-by-street combat, President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine has described the battle for the eastern city as crucial moment in the war, as his outgunned force struggle to deny Russian force another foothold in Donbas region. Lysychansk, the peril facing Ukrainian side are clear, as you have to note the place in the map. Okay. Next article is in the new high. Thailand become the first in Asia to make marijuana legal. Thailand made it legal to cultivate and possess marijuana as of Thursday. Thailand, the first nation in Asia to decriminalize the marijuana for the medical and industrial use only. Examples of Uruguay and Canada, but it's not following the examples of Uruguay and Canada, the only two countries so far that has legalized the recreational marijuana on national basis. The country is known for its Thai stick variety. Marijuana extracts such as oil remain illegal if they contain over 0.2% of THC. Let us see the remaining articles in the next video. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.